Okay, this video is a additional support video that is going to go over one of the questions in 1D on constructing a simultaneous equation. The particular focus is looking at finance. So I'm just going to read this question and then I'm going to break it down slowly. An investor received $1,400 interest per annum from a sum of money, with part of it invested at 10% and the remainder at 7% simple interest. Now, I'm going to stop there. Simple interest is the key word. We need to think about the formulas. So for simple interest, we're talking about interest is equal to principal times rate times time. Now, with simple interest in this case, we don't need to look at the time because we're just looking at it in terms of a year. So it'll be interest is equal to principal times rate. So you would have learnt this back in year 10 when we were doing recursion in our financial unit. This investor found that if she interchanged the amount she had invested, she could increase her return by $90 per annum. Now, the keyword interchange here just means that we're switching. So whatever amount we invested at 10% will then be switched to the 7% interest and vice versa. She could increase her return by $90 by that interchange. Calculate the total amount invested. So we've got two parts of our investment, A and B, and they both have different rates. So I'm just listing them down. Now, in terms of finding our interest, now, we are just going to go whatever the principal is times this rate here. Now, we don't write it as a percentage, we'll write it as a decimal, which will be 0.1 for 10% and 0.07 for 7%. Just make sure when you're writing it that we are creating a P1 and a P2 because they will be both different amounts because we don't know what those are yet. One of the things we do know though is what our interest is. Our interest is 1,400 that we've earned in that 1 year. That means whatever this I1 is, our first interest, and whatever this interest here is, I2, they both will always combine to that amount of 1,400. So that's our first equation, 0.1 P1 plus 0.07 P2 is equal to 1,400. Then we're looking at that interchange. That means the P1 and the P2 are going to be switching. So I just switched them around, and that means we will earn $90 of interest. So those are the two equations that you need. The only extra part that you need now is you're just going to have to use your understanding of solving simultaneous equations. So to do that, I'm going to start off with one equation. So I'll start off with this one here, 0.1 P2 plus 0.07 P1 is equal to 1,490. I will then divide everything by 0.1 to get P2 by itself. The second thing I'm going to do is take away 0.7 P1 on both sides. Now I've got P2 by itself. So I'm going to grab the other equation that I had, and this time I'm just going to look at what P2 is equal to and substitute it straight into the formula. The next part is I'm going to expand my bracket. So everything inside this bracket here, the 14,900 and the negative 0.7 P1 will be times by 0.07. I wrote the same thing down twice, so ignore that. Now, the next part that I'm going to do is I'm going to get my P's together. So 0.1 P1 minus 0.049 P1 will give you 0.051 P1. Finally, I'm going to grab the 1043, my constant, and get my constants on my right-hand side. So I'll take that away, and it leaves me with 357. The last step is we want P1 by itself, so I divide everything by 0.051, and that gives me P1 is equal to 7,000. Now now we know what P1 is. We need to find out what P2 is. So I'm going to use this equation right here, and I'm going to substitute. So all I've done is I grabbed what P1 is, which is 7,000, and I've put it into my equation, and it's told me what P2 is, which is 10,000. If I add both of my principles together, it will give me 17,000, which is the total amount that was invested.